All right, good evening. We'll call this meeting to order for the May 14th, 2026 Apple Valley City Council meeting. Welcome, everyone. As the item you would like to speak to this evening is announced, please come forward to the podium so we can all hear you and those at home can hear you as well. The first item on our agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand if you're able and join us in the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. The next item is our audience participation portion of the meeting. This is for items that are not on our agenda otherwise, and we have a total of 10 minutes for this item. We have a handful of people who would like to speak about a group home, and then we have someone who wants to speak about the bike sale results. I'm going to take these out of order just so we can get all the group home ones kind of in here at the same time, if that would make sense. And so with that, I'm going to invite Randy Bailey forward to talk about the bike sale results.
Where's your bike tonight?
Sorry.
Wet out. It's very wet out.
Greetings, Mayor, council members, city officials of note and repute. I'm here with results from the 18th annual Rick's Bike Sale a couple weeks ago on May 2nd. We donated $61,000, a little more than that this year, to Kids in Kinship and Darts, two local Dakota County nonprofits. Our expense ratio this year was down to a record low of 3%. So 97% of the proceeds went straight to those two nonprofits. We donated $61,000. We are now up to $688,000 we've donated in total. And you as a city council, the city, the officials, the police and fire departments have always been very supportive of this event. I'm just here to say thanks. It was another great sale.
Thank you, Randy. Thanks for all the work. And I am apparently so excited to get the meeting moving that I skipped the approval of the agenda. So we're going to jump back to that one real quick. I understand that's important. I've only been up here 15 years or so. You think we'd figure it out by now. Tom, anything we need to add or change to the agenda?
Mr. Mayor, no changes to
No changes. So council members, we have a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Motion from Councilmember Melander, a second from Councilmember Grendel. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? All right, the agenda carries. Now we can move on back to our public participation. I'll just take these in order if that's okay. I have Fred up first if you want to come forward, and bring whoever else with you as well. I would just ask you to come to the podium so we can all hear you and get you in the record and that good stuff. So come on forward.
All right, thanks for
Whenever you're ready.
Yep,
Please.
we're ready.
Yeah.
Thanks for taking the time. June of 2024 was the first time we met with you. So it's going on over 2 years. Unfortunately, we're still dealing with the same violent client. Over 100 plus incidents reported. And in addition to that, we've got over 20 already this year. The police have been very responsive and supportive. John, Representative Hoyt is actively working to support us as well, but we're still at the same place we were. They built a human cage in the back over a deck. They put an 8-foot fence up. That's not the answer. Occurrences are still violent. There's been attacks to the staff members, other clients in the home, and then also out in the street, weekly almost, where disruptive. They're out there fighting, out there with shields trying to protect the staff members. And, more importantly for today, it's gotten even more severe. And I'll let Adam and some of the others talk about that, where there's been actual death threats and very vulgar language to the children and the residents. Talking about the N word, the F word, the C word, anything you could imagine. It's just ridiculous. So with that, I'm going to let Adam talk about the seriousness of these two events that happened just recently.
Thanks, Fred.
Yeah, I'm Adam Earhart Swanson. I live on the street at 5991. And yeah, like you said, this has been going on for years. We've lived in the neighborhood for 18 plus years. And it's just this latest client has been the worst that we've seen. And it's escalated even worse than it was the last time that we were here. It's now gotten to the point where he will actually actively scream at the children that are out, threaten to kill them, tell them to come over, and that he uses all kinds of different colorful language with them as well. He threatens the adults, like the other day we were out, they were playing, and he started engaging with the kids. So I went over and tried to get the kids away. And then he started trying to engage with me and the neighbor who lives right next door to him. And during that exchange, he was just like the language and things he was using, and we kind of like not chuckled, but it was like, oh my God, I can't believe what he's talking about. And in that specific instance, his response to it was, oh, do you think it's funny? I'll give you something to laugh about. And he started assaulting one of the group home employees in front of us. And they had to like tackle him to the ground and what have you. That one we did call, and we call all the time for the police. And that one specifically, they were going to send someone, but then they just decided with consulting with the group home that they didn't necessarily need to. But then he started throwing rocks at us towards the end. And so it's gotten to the point, like we said before, we don't feel comfortable letting the kids outside, but now it's to the point where we can't unless we're with them. And then half the time, even when we're with them, we have to retreat back into our houses and try to let them resolve. So we're not able to utilize our properties and things like that. Carol, I think, will speak about the one where she was kind of like stuck in her house. Not to put you on the spot, but like, and that was one where we even tried to, like, we were trying to go outside and we were just told to go back in. And so you kind of have to like shelter in your house. But then this is my son, London, and I just wanted him to speak real quickly.
Please, London, thanks for coming. Like, it takes a little courage to show up in front of this scary group, so.
Hello, my name is London. I believe us kids and adults should not be yelled at, cursed at, threatened, etc. Some of my friends have been called names and threatened. At my friend's house, the resident attempts to throw rocks at them in their house, and he attempts to climb the fence they have installed. It also makes me feel unsafe and scared. I wish we could go outside without being threatened, etc. We should also not have our property damaged or broken. Thank you for listening to my speech.
It's just, and kind of the point I'd like to get, and I know you guys know it, but like, he's dealt with this entire life because he's been born and raised in that house. And it's just something that unfortunately we have to have them used to, which they shouldn't. We should be able to go outside and not worry about what's going to happen, et cetera. So that was kind of what I had. Sorry to put you on the spot.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
The,
He wanted to represent all the kids.
but thank you for coming. I mean that genuinely. Thank you for coming and sharing that. Carol, I've got a couple just follow-ups, and Carol, you're gonna hear it twice because we just chatted about it in the hallway, but, anything you wanted to add?
Just that my point with Carol was like, it was in front of her house, I think it was like, one of the more recent ones. And recently it kind of circles with the weather, like when it's really nice out, we'll have it 2-3 times a week where it happens. And then other times it'll maybe skip a week or so, but usually it's multiple times a week. And one was right in front of her house. And she tried to go out and she was told, just go back inside. And
yeah, I called the police because I looked out and he was beating the people he was with. They had their shields up and he was hitting them with a stick, which we learned was actually from Adam's house. He had pulled up the, they had
one of our driveway markers for this.
Oh, sure.
for the snow plows to keep from that. And he was hitting them with it. He broke my mailbox, which is annoying, but then he took the stick after he was done hitting the people that were with him and started beating on my son's truck. It's a new truck. He worked hard to get that. And so he's standing there beating on it. So I called the police. They came. And then my son needed to go to work, but he couldn't go to work because they were surrounding our house. And he was outside and they were talking to him. So we were told not to come outside, to stay inside and to lock the doors and just wait. So my son was late for work. We were locked in our house. It's extremely disturbing to see that kind of behavior and to deal with it. And he's smiling. I mean, it's not even just like he's unaware. He thinks it's funny and it's terrifying. And I don't go down to that end of the street anymore, and it's lovely. We have all these wonderful parks with trails. I won't go on them anymore. I won't walk my dog there. I won't go down there because I don't feel safe. And I'm an adult, and I worry about the kids. These kids should be able to play outside by their home. We live in a lovely place with parks. We don't use them. It's too dangerous to put our kids there. And if we do, we're there. It's just difficult. I don't understand how his rights are more than our rights.
And I will say, I think as a group, and I don't do this often, I can probably speak for everybody and say we don't either, right? We've had this kind of, like, you know this, like, you know the spot we're in. I appreciate you sharing the story genuinely, I do. We need some legislative help to get that done. I know John's going to drop some bills next year. Doesn't do anything for immediate help on that. There's a really strong lobby, though, on the other side that kind of every time we propose one of these, the story they spin up is, well, you cities don't want those people at all, any kind of disabled people in your community, that's why you want the law. And that's not the reality. Like, the reality is 99 out of 100 of these group homes, I joke about this, right? But my biggest danger is I get stuck in a 20-minute conversation with the person who lives there. That's the biggest, most dangerous thing I have. But you get this 1-ish%, right? In this case, it's a Hennepin County placement in Dakota County home, which makes it even harder because we don't have a direct connection to the case manager who's placing them. We have better luck when it's Dakota County. We're frustrated too. A couple things I can tell you, I looked this up this afternoon, the license on this facility has a renewal date. Tom, what did we figure out? June 30th, I think, of this year, right? So this is useful because we'll share this, right, with the state. I'd encourage you to use that reporting system and get these reports in, right? We kind of got to build the case. I will just say we are equally frustrated. We have about 1 or 2 of these a year, right? And it's such a small percentage, but that does not take away from the incredible impact. Like, it's not just you guys, right? It's everybody in the neighborhood, and it's everybody in the surrounding neighborhoods that gets the wrong end of this. And it's frustrating. It's frustrating when there are things that impact people who live here who we don't have the ability to control or and help the way we want. 2 years ago, we actually got worse. The legislature made a change at the state level that cities who have rental licensing can't even regulate these in the same way they regulate a single-family rental in their neighborhoods. So when I talk about local control on other issues, right, that's a broad statement, but that, like, we need some ability to regulate what happens when there's actual harm in the neighborhood, and some trust that says we're not going to use it in a way to, right, impact those who aren't causing a problem.
And we know that you're working it, and John's helping as well. But, legislation a year, 2 years from now
Doesn't help you right now. Yeah, I
with the
get it.
severity of death threats.
Mm-hmm.
There's got to be something that can be done. There's legal counsel that you retain, right? Is there any action against the group home owner?
So there are 2, state law, there's nothing we can do under state law to regulate or take action against the group homeowner or the licensee. And that change in rental ordinance actually took away some of the only power cities had to be able to regulate that. And that was done intentionally because the authors of the legislation felt that cities were using it to exclude disabled people from their communities. So we've gone the wrong direction in the last 3 years to being able to do that. There's a Supreme Court case out there from how many years ago now, right, that grants the right for people with special needs to live in a community. And that's the 99% that aren't bothering anybody, right? That we want to live in our neighborhoods. There's not a good mechanism when the care isn't right. And I will tell you, there's no place else to move people to, and that's slowing down the process. I hate sitting up here and telling stories that I can't do anything about. And this is one of those. We're gonna need some state legislative changes to make that happen.
So what do you suggest, or what can we do to make things safer now?
I would do a couple things, right? The first thing I would do is make sure you're getting on the state system and log in the complaints, right? And we can make sure you have that. You guys have the direct contact to it, right? So you're the best one to get those in. They won't go anywhere fast, I will tell you, but they will start to build a case. I don't have any way to force them to remove that person from the house.
I understand that, Adam has done this before too, filed complaints but it's been kicked out of court. What about a facility like St. Peter's? Proven that this person is
That would
dangerous.
nothing we can do to implement, right? That's gonna require whoever is managing this individual and whatever court case is there to place that person there. So, right, that's the challenge. Like, you're talking to people who care and wanna fix it, but we don't have the ability to
I think
remove the person.
Kind of where he's going too, that was like, they won't even,
Yep.
we can't even press charges or anything anymore, or try to file restraining orders. We're told can't do anything with it because he's been found mentally incompetent. And that's kind of, I think, what his point is, I mean, we get it, and we get it the
Yep.
way the laws are written and stuff, but why then can't we do that even if they're gonna kick it out every time, at least so there's something that's happening? I mean, there's like no recourse whatsoever.
We hear you. I mean, that's what I tell you is we hear you. We're fighting this,
Yeah.
every time one of these comes up, we fight this same battle. And the best hope is, right, somebody figures out this person isn't getting the right care and they get moved elsewhere, which doesn't help the next neighborhood who gets them, right? Logan, you had something, bud?
I haven't been here before, but I don't know if they said this or not.
Why don't you, can you step up just so that we can all hear you on the microphone? Thank you.
I think they've attempted to move him out of the house, and then they just brought him back again.
I don't know this specific case, but I would say you see that, right? If there's not someplace else that will take them, they end up back. There are, how many licenses do we count, Tom? There's 20 plus different license types, I think, at the state that deal with group home and those kind of facilities.
Mr. Mayor, the Minnesota Department of Human Services is the agency that does licensing for these types of homes. If you go onto their website, you can search, there's probably at least 24 different license types that they administer. Of the particular license that has been issued to the home that's being discussed tonight is called a Home and Community-Based Services Community Residential Setting License. Apple Valley currently has 41 of those licenses issued in our community. And obviously, this is the house that, most of these are operating without any type of incident. This one, unfortunately, is the exception.
And the complaint process you're talking about, is that with the state then?
Yeah, it's
Yes,
DHS.
we've done that, and they find that he's getting the care that he needs, and that our
So, yep.
community needs are not factored into their decision.
I will agree that that's what they're worried about safety. I'm worried about building a sort of a list of those complaints, right? Two different topics. I agree they're not going to immediately solve it. Carol, you had something. Do you mind just stepping up just so we can hear you?
So one of the things that is really disturbing too is when we did meet with the group home with you guys, so it was a while ago, one of the things that the group home said is, we asked what kind of care he was getting. Was he getting like professional help? Did they have a psychiatrist come in, help with, monitoring and trying to figure out the best treatment for them? And they said they don't have anybody from a psychologist or anything else engaged. So they don't have anyone engaged with this person.
Yeah, I will
So
say.
he's this serious and they don't have a mental health expert helping? I mean, even helping them, nothing.
When I ask those questions, right, we get into the competing rights thing, right? They have a right to some patient privacy, and so they can't discuss what the care plans are with us. Again, this is easier to deal with when it's a Dakota County place person, because I can then reach out to Dakota County and we can have that. But when, the owners of these facilities, and let's just call them what they are, the owners of these businesses, right, will take whoever provider is going to pay them the most to put somebody in the house. So we have a little bit of a systemic issue with the way these are structured that way too.
But I would think that we could say that he's not getting the care he needs. This individual is violent, dangerous,
Yep.
has a huge police
We-
record. Shouldn't they be getting some kind of mental health treatment from an expert? At least at some level, the home should be providing that. And they told us point blank they're not.
Yeah, I'm honestly surprised that they would share that information, right? Because that would be a pretty big violation, but also I believe you, right? I know I'm
They
not
did it
doing
in a
you, I'm
city
just
council
surprised,
meeting
yep.
when we had a meeting.
Yep,
I mean, we were
yep,
shocked.
yep. Council members, do you have something? And I'll just kind of close this out. Okay, start with Ruth, go ahead.
If somebody is declared mentally incompetent, they're exempt from the law? That's the bottom line here?
I mean, that's what we're basically told.
That's what we're told,
When-
yeah. No matter what he does.
I've tried a few
he's
times to
exempt.
do restraining orders or whatever, he's damaged the property and stuff like
Yep.
that.
And they won't
say
pay for damage
is-
to property. They say,
They
you have to
declined,
tell
they
the
declined to
police.
press charges or declined to file because he's been found mentally incompetent. Stay on trial.
So that's Dakota County is
That's,
won't press charges.
well, it's Apple Valley Police. We're the
Apple Valley.
last-
Oh, we won't, oh.
We can't.
Yeah, they just said they can't.
I don't think they can.
I had one instance with, I think it was with him with the mailbox? Like, they made it through to the city prosecutor and then they found that he was mentally incompetent. That was a couple of years ago. And then since then, I've asked a few times, like when he threatened to kill me and stuff like that. I've been told they can't do anything. They just won't, they can't file.
We came here, we know
Yeah.
you didn't have the answers. We know
No, I-
we know you're supportive. We'll keep working with the police and John, when he gets back from DC.
Yep.
And
It's painful to come share the stories, and we get you right. Nobody wants to bad enough to live it. It's worse you have to come relive it again in front of a group. And Yeah, we get it. Councilmember Melander, did you have something before we wrap up?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, you did a really nice job explaining the problem.
There are things I've never wanted to be an expert on, right? And this is really near the top of that list for me. Yeah.
Yeah. When this came up last year, it really struck a chord with me. I chased it around. I talked with Mayor Heyman Rowland. What could we do? I talked to some other folks. From what I understand, it's a federal deal. It's not even
It's
a
that Supreme
state.
Court case, right? Yeah.
And some guy, as I understand it, years ago they used to take people like this and fill them full of Thorazine and put them in St. Peter or other places, and that somebody had decided this was inhumane and made it his own crusade to let them be back out in the community. But what you're saying and what I've said is the rights of somebody, especially a troublemaker, should not trump the rights of a regular citizen that they're in fear in their own house. That's just not right, but it's the way it is. And that's, I've said this before, I mean, I hate stuff that I can't do anything about. When I see a problem, I like to deal with it. And stuff like this is just not right. And nobody seems to want to touch it because, oh my gosh, this might hurt somebody's feelings and all of this stuff. The
There's a
climate of the day is just not that way. It's,
there is a
actually, it breaks my heart to
naivete.
see you guys suffer like this. It does. And your option is to move. Well, that's a swell option.
Great option.
Who's going to want to buy your house with this kind of a history?
I will say there is some, what I'll call naivete amongst some legislators and some of the folks lobbying hard on this. Like, I will tell these stories, and the response I will get is, "Oh, that doesn't happen that way." I'm like, "Well, why don't you come look my residents in the face? Like, you aren't the only neighborhood that's been impacted by this, right?" And I know real stories and I know made up stories, right? It's not my first day. I know your stories are real, your experiences are real, which is just why it's so important to share them and to get them firsthand. Ruth?
You take out your phones and do you tape them so that there is tape?
We
Yeah,
got
there's
tons of
video.
video.
And it goes nowhere?
Yeah, there's videos, pictures.
But I think we can actually use that as we get to some legislative hearings to do that. I just hate we have to wait, right, that time. Doesn't solve anything.
I mean, the fear if something happens.
Absolutely.
For that. And I don't know how long ago there was another client in that home where a police officer was
She ended up
assaulted.
in my front yard.
Yeah, one of the clients before him that was finally removed had injured a female police officer when they were trying to
Well,
get her
yep.
back in the house or whatever. That was a few years ago.
Yep. Do you have one last thing before we wrap up? I just appreciate you being here, so I'm gonna give you more time than probably normally would, so.
I'm in 6th grade, and in math class, we've been learning about like real estate stuff. And for our neighborhood, if one of us ends up moving, then I believe the value of our house will go or one of our houses will go down, because if they find if they don't include it in like the description of where you list it, it'll go down, and then nobody will want to move there. So then you'll have an extra house you'll be stuck with. So then you still have to pay for it, and you'll get in debt and stuff.
And I'll even take that one further. That will become the next group home based on our inability to regulate. Like, that's what happens. Like, we're seeing these cluster neighborhoods, and ask for some legislative help to not let them truly. If you were trying to deinstitutionalize this, right, putting 6 of these in a cul-de-sac is not deinstitutionalizing it, it's just changing the setting, right? And so that it's not being effective that way either. Thank you all for coming. Genuinely, thank you.
Thank you.
We really wish we had a quick, easy solution for this one, as you know. Please stay in touch. Please keep us posted. Thank you for being respectful in the comments too, because that matters. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief. Thank you.
All right, that covers everybody on our list. I am going to move on to our consent agenda. These are items that are routine and they'll be enacted with a single motion unless a council member or a citizen requests to pull an item. Council members, any items you would like to pull this evening?
No.
All right, anyone in the audience like to pull any items? All right, seeing none, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved. Second.
A motion from Councilmember Hebert, a second from Councilmember Grendall. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? All the consent items pass unanimously. We'll move on to 5A, which is a Memorial Day proclamation, and we have the American Legion First Vice President Jim Hoffman here. Jim, come on forward.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. I have the proclamation for Memorial Day, May 25th, 2026. Whereas Memorial Day has been observed in the United States since General Logan of the Grand Army of the Republic issued General Order Number 11 on May 5th, 1868, setting aside May 30th, 1868 for the purpose of strewing flowers or otherwise decorating the graves of soldiers of the Federal and Confederate troops who lost their lives in the Civil War that raged from 1861 to 1865. And whereas Memorial Day is a time to remember and honor the men and women in uniform in time of war who died for the freedoms of the United States citizens and others around the world, and deserve graves and memories decorated with the gratitude of a grateful nation. And whereas since the year 2000, our nation was called to reclaim Memorial Day as the sacred and noble event that the day is intended to be. We invite everyone to take a full minute on Memorial Day at 3 p.m. to pause and remember all the men and women who died in service to our country as a national moment of silence. Now, therefore, the City Council of the City of Apple Valley, Dakota County, Minnesota, hereby acknowledges the federal proclamation of May 25th, 2026 as Memorial Day, and asks that all citizens set aside May 25th, 2026 as a day of remembrance, and invites all citizens to attend a Memorial Day ceremony scheduled at 10 a.m. at the Apple Valley American Legion Post 1776. Further, citizens are reminded that flag etiquette provides that all flags will be flown at half-staff until noon, and a special salute to the sacrifice of the casualties and injured in the various wars and police actions. Proclaimed this 14th day of May, 2026. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Don't run away yet, but I have this habit of forgetting to actually approve the proclamations after people read them. So let's go ahead and get that done first. Do we have a motion for that proclamation?
So moved. Second.
Motion from Councilmember Grendall, second from Councilmember Melander. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. And opposed? That carries. Jim, you guys have a great tradition of a Memorial Day remembrance and celebration. Probably one of the best ones I've ever seen. Understand you're doing it indoors this year, so
Yep.
people don't need to worry about weather. I would just encourage everybody to come out. If you haven't been there before, pretty laid back group, right? Well, my experience is you have people in suits, you know, people in shorts and t-shirts, and kind of all there for one purpose, to remember those who served. And so that's just my encouragement. Come out. Thank you all for doing it. You're keeping this tradition and this service alive, and
It's
it's
quite the honor.
appreciated. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to move on to National Poppy Day and Month. And Gina, if you're ready, come on forward. Whenever you're ready, please go ahead.
Hi, I'm Gina Deerfelt. I'm the first Vice President of the American Legion Auxiliary, Unit 1776. I'm also the Poppy Chair. So the Poppy, just for those people who maybe aren't aware of what it represents, we honor the fallen and we support the living. So all of the donations that we receive support veterans and their families and are greatly appreciated. Okay, so we will have, I'll be distributing them, and we have a volunteer list for our auxiliary, where we'll be at the Von Hansen's this weekend and next weekend, and also at Ace Hardware in Apple Valley, so.
Would you like to read the proclamation? I know we
Yeah,
have
so
some
I
folks
will-
up here who want to make sure they get some poppies. So
Okay,
why
sure.
don't we do the proclamation first, and then we'll
Sure, I will be happy to read that. Whereas America is the land of freedom, preserved and protected willingly and freely by its citizens and soldiers, and whereas millions who have answered the call to arms have died on the fields of battle. And whereas a nation and its citizens must be reminded of the price of war and the debt it owes to those who have died in war. And whereas the red poppy has been designated as a symbol of the sacrifice of lives in all wars. And whereas the American Legion Auxiliary has pledged to remind Americans annually of the debt owed through the distribution of the memorial flower. Now, therefore, the City Council of the City of Apple Valley, Dakota County, Minnesota hereby proclaims May 26th Poppy Month, and May 2026 as Poppy Month, and the 22nd of May 2026 as National Poppy Day, and asks that all citizens wear the memorial poppy on these days to pay tribute to those who have made the ultimate sacrifice in the name of freedom.
Perfect, thank you. Do we have a motion for that proclamation?
So moved.
Second.
Motion from Councilmember Grendall, second from Councilmember Hebert. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, that carries as well. Come on forward, let's get some poppies. While you're doing that, I will say that although Councilmember Bergman couldn't be here this evening, he did make sure to send some money with me because he wanted to make sure to get some poppies. So, I also know he's watching, so I want to make sure that he knows that. One for me and one for John would be great. Wonderful. Can you get them apart? Your committee's too strong, right? There you go. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Just one is fine.
I think you likely have a few others in the room who might want some poppies as well. So I see some dollars waving over there. Gina, thank you. We'll see you certainly in a couple weeks at the Memorial Day ceremony. Yeah. So thank you. Have a great weekend. Thanks for being here. I'm going to move on to 5C, which is our Valleywood Golf Course 50th anniversary ceremony, or anniversary, I should say. And Jim and Jordan are going to talk about this one. So welcome, guys. A tie? Have I ever seen this?
You had to borrow one from me.
I own a tie. Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I'm Jim Zink, golf course manager. Jordan Johnson, our clubhouse coordinator and professional model with some of our 50th anniversary apparel here. We are here to celebrate Valleywood's 50th year. So going way back, course was studied to build the golf course back in 1972. Voter approved referendum in 73 through the construction, originally named Lebanon Hills Golf Club. The back nine opened in 1976, $3 per round weekday and $3.50 on weekends. March 1983, the course was renamed Valleywood, and in 2012, we opened the new clubhouse. There is the original Lebanon Hills Golf Course scorecard, a little weathered, but, and this is our current scorecard. This is the original clubhouse, which was a refurbished Parks building. It has been re-sided and re-shingled about half a dozen times. We currently use it as our maintenance break room. So it still gets use. I actually bought my first full set of golf clubs out of that building. And this is then the clubhouse that was built by the Dakota County VOTEC, which served us for about 20 years. And this is the current clubhouse. So some improvements over the years. Finding pictures from 1976 is not quite as easy as it is today. We were asked to try to find some pictures, and we don't exactly know when they're from. I have, 800 pictures of my 8-year-old grandson, but I don't have a picture from 1976. But this is the 6th hole. Obviously, the previous is on the left, and current look. We went out and tried to get pictures from the same locations. This is the 17th hole. If we wish we would have had some better pictures from 1976 to use as a comparison. We are planning a couple of special events. We have some commemorative, golfers use them as ball marks. They're kind of a poker chip, but they're commemorative 50th anniversary for the golf course. We're selling some apparel in the golf shop. We will be having a 9-hole golf outing on Monday, June 29th, and a little luncheon to kind of celebrate the golf course and to acknowledge some of those people that were involved. I don't know if any of you know Lauren Hegland, who has been involved in everything Apple Valley, but I joke with Lauren that we are celebrating Valleywood's 50th year, and somehow he's been involved for 53 years. So he was actually on the search committee that helped pick out the land. So we have a proclamation. Apparently I'm going to read. Going to need the reading glasses for this. So whereas Valleywood, you want to put it up or just use the small one there? Okay, that's all there is. Whereas Valleywood Golf Course has been a cherished part of the community in Apple Valley since its founding in 1976, and whereas for 50 years Valleywood Golf Course has provided residents and visitors with a welcoming place for recreation, relaxation, and connection through the game of golf, and whereas the course has contributed to the quality of life in Apple Valley by promoting outdoor activity, sportsmanship, and community engagement among generations of golfers, and whereas Valleywood Golf Course has also served as a gathering place for community members who are not golfers, offering a banquet and event facility that has hosted celebrations, meetings, and special occasions for countless individuals and organizations. And whereas the grounds of Valleywood Golf Course have been enjoyed year-round, including by cross-country skiers and runners who utilize the scenic landscape for fitness, recreation, and connection with nature. And whereas these diverse uses have made Valleywood Golf Course an inclusive and multi-purpose community asset, welcoming people of all interests and backgrounds. And whereas the continued success of Valleywood Golf Course is a testament to the dedication of its staff, patrons, and the broader community have supported it throughout the decades. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that we do hereby recognize and celebrate the 50th anniversary of Valleywood Golf Course, honoring its rich history, its contributions to golfers and non-golfers alike, and its enduring legacy in Apple Valley. Be it further proclaimed that this milestone anniversary serves as an opportunity to reflect on the past, celebrate the present, and look forward to many more years of service to the entire community. Proclaim this 14th day of May, 2026.
Well done, Jim. Do we have a motion to approve the proclamation?
So moved.
Motion from Councilmember Hebert, second from Councilmember Melander. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That carries. Gentlemen, thank you. We look forward to celebrating this year with you and probably stopping out and picking up some cool 50th anniversary stuff along the way.
Appreciate it.
You bet. Take
Thank
care,
you.
guys. 5D on our agenda is the 2026 Special Assessment Roll number 700, which is for delinquent utilities. And welcome, Candy, to what I think is your first special assessment roll for delinquent utilities. So, milestones, right? We got to celebrate the milestones.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. I'm here to present the 2026 delinquent utility billing for the spring special assessment roll number 700. So for the 2026 special assessments, the city certifies delinquent accounts twice a year, both in the spring and in the fall. Finance sends out the notices per the statute. The first letters for 2026 were sent on February 24th. There was 665 letters. The second set of letters went out on March 18th. The public hearing notices were mailed to each of the account holders, and it was published in the paper. The goal of the special assessments is to collect the outstanding balances on the utility bills, and at this time, there's been no written objections for anyone that's on the list. Nothing's been received. So for the spring 2026 delinquency overview, we are higher in the spring of 26 versus 2025 by about 46 accounts. We are lower in delinquent accounts from the fall of 2025 by 30 accounts and approximately $40,000. The reason for this is because the fall assessments include the irrigation accounts, so we've had that drop off over the winter. The 438 accounts that we need to assess equate to $152,322. And this is all for utility bills. So for the 2026 next steps, after the public hearing, and if the council approves the adoption of the assessment roll, prepayments can still be accepted until Monday, June 15th, 2026. After June 15th, the balance of these assessments of the outstanding accounts will be sent to Dakota County, and it will be levied against the 2027 property tax statements along with an 8% interest fee. So our requested council action is to hold the public hearing tonight, and then afterwards, if the city council approves, to adopt the resolution approving the 2026 special assessment rolls number 700 for the delinquent utilities.
Thank you. Any questions for Candy before we start the public hearing? We'll go ahead and open the public hearing for the special assessment roll. Is there anyone who would like to speak to the public hearing? Anyone who would like to speak to this public hearing on the special assessment roll? One last opportunity. All right, seeing no one, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing, and we'll look for a motion to adopt the resolution levying the 2026 special assessment roll number 700 for delinquent utility charges.
So moved.
Motion from Councilmember Grendall, second
Second.
from Councilmember Hebert. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, thank you, and thank you, Candy, for pulling that together for us. That ends our regular agenda items, and let's move on to staff and council communications. And Tom, I know we've got a couple here teed up.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, first I'll just start and just thank you all for participating in the tree planting activity that we had earlier today at Fred Largen Park. This is something that we do annually in celebration of Arbor Day and Arbor Month, and we have a great partner in Dakota Electric, and they provide the tree for us, and our staff does a great job getting it ready for planting. So always happy to add another tree to the city's park system. The next items we have both come from our police chief, Nick Francis.
Welcome, Chief.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. A rite of passage every spring. Two things. First one is Police Week. So this week, law enforcement across the U.S. is honoring police officers and honoring those who have died in the line of duty through Police Week. A couple of things are unique to our department. We have had a very active participation in something called Law Enforcement United, which is a bike ride, memorial bike ride from somewhere around Washington, D.C. into Washington, D.C. That is about a 250 to 300 mile bike ride that people make, pedal bikes, not to be confused with the ones I'm going to talk about shortly here, but they're pedaling their bikes for 3 days, 80 to 100 miles a day, in honor of law enforcement officers that have died in the line of duty in the past year. We have 8 members of our department that are out in some capacity out in Washington, D.C., and they'll be trickling back shortly. Tomorrow, well, starting tonight at 6 o'clock through tomorrow at 7 o'clock, if anybody's interested to go to the Law Enforcement Memorial up in St. Paul, right near the Capitol grounds there is a 24-hour vigil, essentially. So there are officers signing up that take 1-hour shifts, 24 hours a day, to stand guard up there. And then tomorrow at 7 p.m. they have a candlelight vigil for Minnesota officers lost in the line of duty. It's a pretty quick in and out, so if you're up there in St. Paul, it's a great opportunity just to stop by and pay some tributes. You kind of come and go at your own pace. There's a changing of the guard every hour. It's pretty easy and pretty moving. Also want to mention that if anybody's around tomorrow in the morning and wants a donut, there's going to be cop on a rooftop at Dunkin' Donuts in Apple Valley from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. We'll be out there helping raise money with Special Olympics. We'll have Special Olympic athletes out there, and so we welcome the community to come out and visit us tomorrow morning. We'll have folks out there again starting at 6 o'clock up till 10 in the morning. So it's been a great police week, and we're looking forward to finishing that off. Secondly, I just want to hit on bikes. That's another rite of passage in the spring, and specifically e-bikes. These are newer devices. And I'll kind of walk through the different kinds, but newer devices that we're seeing all over. And we are getting lots of questions, lots of emails, lots of concerns about the use of these bikes and potential conflicts between walkers and riders, vehicles and riders, and so on. And there's all sorts of different types of devices. I just want to walk through some of our educational information that we're trying to get out there and bring you up to speed on some of the other things that we're working with the communications department to update the community on. So we developed a kind of handout that we're able to give away at bicycling events, through school events, any type of public outreach that just kind of breaks down what these different devices are. What we are seeing a lot of is motorized bicycles and e-bikes. The motorized bicycles, however, those are essentially like a scooter or a motorcycle. You must be 15 years and up. You have to either have a valid driver's license or motorized bicycle permit. I can talk anybody that wants to know the nuances of a moped license through it, because both of my kids have them. I got them a moped scooter that has to go on the road. It's got a license plate. We pay insurance on it. But essentially, there's a lot of folks using motorized bicycles on sidewalks in ways that are unregulated. They are required to be on the road and prohibited from being on the sidewalk. Helmets required if you're under 18, and the specs are 30 miles per hour max with a 1500 watt motor. Headlight, taillight, passengers are prohibited. We also see a lot of motorized foot scooters. These ones that we're seeing a lot of the younger kids, the 6, 8, 10-year-old folks that have these motorized ones. Not that long ago, they were pedal ones, so you just kind of had to move your foot like Fred Flintstone to get the thing to go. And now you'll see them going up a huge hill at 15 miles an hour because they're battery powered. So you have to be 12 and up to operate these. They're multi-use on paths and trails. These ones are a little bit slower speed, smaller. They're illegal to ride on the sidewalk, and this is all according to state statute. The helmets are required. Again, with all these, helmets are required under 18. Speed max is 15 miles an hour, and passengers are prohibited. You will sometimes see 2 or 3 kids kind of all balancing on that, just like we all did on the handlebars and the rear pegs when we were kids. The electric assisted bicycles are another category. That's age 15 and up. So these ones have pedals, but they also have electric assist on them. They are allowed on paths and trails. They're illegal to ride on the sidewalk. And again, same laws as motor vehicles. You have to come to a stop. You have to yield to pedestrians. You have to just ride as you were part of traffic. Again, these are up to 28 miles an hour. Passengers are prohibited. And then we also see plenty of these e-motos and dirt bikes. And it's kind of hard to determine the difference between this e-moto and dirt bike and the motorized bicycles. You have to inspect them. There's a lot of technical expertise with that. But essentially, they are devices that you don't pedal. They just are self-propelled and can go through just like a combustion engine would. These ones are, again, this is like it's electric motorcycle. On public property, it's illegal unless it's registered as a motorcycle. So again, you got to have the license, the tabs, the helmet, all that going on. motorcycle license is required. On private property, you can drive them as you want. We don't have a ton of big lots in Apple Valley where it's realistic that you're going to see people riding these like you might over in the country or up north on a 40-acre plot or something like that. What we are trying to do with all these is educate. The people that we need most educated right now are parents who are going out and buying these things, or grandparents or whoever else that is going out and buying these things, and they are much more reasonable in cost than they were a few years ago. A few years ago, they were in the $1,000 plus, $2,000 to buy an e-bike, and now they're down into the couple $100s. So they are much more affordable. So we are trying to get the word out, not just to the biking community, but to the parents, to the neighbors, to the relatives, to say, pay attention to what you're buying, because just because you buy it and you can get it over the counter at one of the stores does not mean it's legal for grandson or son or daughter to just go out and ride through the neighborhood. So our bike patrol unit is up and running. You saw some of them on the first page here. We actually do have some e-bikes, some electric assisted bikes that we got through a grant process, and there's a combination of folks riding on these and our pedal bikes. But we're also trying to get the word out there through many different ways here this spring. We have a dedicated web page that's just getting up and running. That'll be live here yet in May. We'll send a news flash out in May, kind of directing people to some of the information, directing them back to the website for more information. We're going to do regular social media posts throughout the summer. We're going to have an educational video in June. Educational handouts will be going out similar to the one we have up here. And we also have at least a couple of bike rodeos planned that the police department is going to be hosting. So we want folks to be aware of these types of devices. What we recommend when we do get the complaints is that treat it like a traffic incident or a traffic complaint. And what we tell people for those situations is call right away, call the police department, because we would like to know, that's our best chance at getting out and trying to identify someone. So similar to if you had a car running stoplights in your neighborhood or speeding up the road, if you can get a description of that car, the last location, a description of the driver, same type of thing. We have officers that can get in the neighborhood, and if it's a little red mini bike and 3 of them in a row or something like that, that'll help our officers try to pinpoint who's responsible for their unsafe driving and riding, and we can have a chat with them. For the most part, it's chatting with them, chatting with parents, and right now just spreading awareness as to what's legal, what's not, and more importantly than that, just the safe riding skills that we need everybody to exhibit, no matter what type of device they're on. Yep. Whether it's a pedal bike, an e-moto, or a foot scooter, we want folks to just be safe when they're doing it.
Thank you, Chief. Councilmember Grendall had a question.
Madam Mayor. So, Chief, so what's involved in getting a motorized bicycle permit? Where do you do that?
So there's online classes. It's Ride Safe, Ride Smart. So it's a standardized statewide online class that you can go, you can sign up, you can take it at your own pace. Once you get that certificate of completion, it takes about 4 hours to take the class. Once you get that certificate of completion, then you can go into the local DVS and take the knowledge exam, which is similar to like your license permit. So you have to be 15 to get that, to take that class and to get that permit. And then you can go in and take the knowledge exam, and then you have a permit to ride a scooter or an e-moto. And then after 30 days, you can go actually take a road test and get, it's almost like a motorcycle endorsement. But the class itself is probably what's the most helpful. Think of kind of like gun safety, where you're going through modules, you're learning about things, you're watching videos. And a lot of the kids these days, a lot of the things they're learning in school is through that kind of remote or asynchronous method. And so it really clicks, and the safety lessons there are not just the rules of the road, but more so safe riding.
So of the 50 I see going by in probably any day, how many do you guess might have one of these permits?
Very few, if any. Yeah. Yeah, most people equate it more with the combustion and the scooters, like the old Vespas and the Sprees, the ones that are gas powered that go up to 30 miles an hour. People that ride those understand that there's licensing involved with that. I don't think many of the people that ride bikes and the e-bikes and the e-motos understand that they're actually motor vehicles and not toys.
Thank you.
Councilmember Hebert.
Thanks, Chief. My question is, so with the scooters and the e-bikes, so they're allowed on paths and trails, but not on the sidewalks. And so I think one of the challenges that I think people is, what is a path and a trail versus what is a sidewalk? And sometimes people are like, well, I need to get to the path and the trail, so I'm going to use the sidewalk. So is there a piece that we can help educate people what is a path and a trail in Apple Valley versus the sidewalks in Apple Valley, and or any advice that we can give to people to make sure that they're riding in the correct places?
Yep. Yes, that's a great point. We can add that on our website that we're building and maybe have a picture of this is what a trail looks like. Here's the length of what a trail is. It typically runs, maybe through a neighborhood, but through a park. And here's what a sidewalk is. With sidewalk lengths, we'll have to use our folks from Public Works to kind of help us get some pictures and identify what those differences are.
So Chief, on that question, that was my question too, so thank you for getting to it. I think trail, so McAndrews is coming to mind, right? There's a trail, McAndrews, that crosses over the bridge. I think we'd all rather have slower vehicles like these up on that trail than in the traffic lane. But would that be a trail on the south side of McAndrews, or is that a sidewalk in this definition?
I would say that's a trail, yep. And it comes down to the distance, the width of it, where you can kind of safely pass and interact without being forced to be in close proximity with everybody else. And there's plenty of neighborhoods that don't have either. So in those situations, typically they're neighborhoods where the traffic volumes are less and slower speeds. But we still, anytime you have vehicles moving at different speeds and different expectations, there's the opportunity for conflicts.
Maybe in everybody's free time, we could figure out a map or something, right, that we could post that, right, these are the trails and these are the sidewalks. And
Yep.
A GIS map or something like that with Public Works would be great.
The other message I heard you say, though, is just call, right? Like, just call if you see something doesn't look right, because the call that comes in 4 days later doesn't do a whole lot of good to help us get to the bottom and talk to the people involved.
Yes. Yep. And that's what we always recommend. And then, if there is other activity going on, kids want to ride these. They want to have fun. They want to find a place. So in their own defense, they may try to find a place where they're not on the road. So then they end up in a park. And they don't necessarily want to have new parked trails and bike trails and areas. So call us, and then if you see these riding through parks, whatever else, we can work with the Parks Department to get folks out there and make sure that we're putting a stop to kind of the self-made off-road trails that are inevitably going to start showing up in our parks.
Councilmember Grindle?
That was my question. So do you have to dial 911, say non-emergency, or what's the number you're suggesting people call?
911 is still acceptable. They will. They don't want everybody to call that all the time, but the non-emergency number is either 651 or 952-322-2323. 911 still works. They'll just ask, is it an emergency? And if it's not, they'll put you on hold. But they're trying to direct things to the non-emergency. Yeah. There's also Spark online reporting. Our department uses that quite a bit. And you can go on the Dakota 911 website and it'll just say service request. If it's not an emergency, you can go right on there, type your information in, and it goes literally from your phone to the dispatch screen instantly. And so it's another way to avoid the phone, any type of the phone mess.
Great. Thank you, Chief.
Just my experience. I mean, I live by a park, and a neighbor was concerned and called about it. And I don't usually drive by at 4:30. When I went by at 4:30, kids were flying out of the woods. I mean, there were bikes everywhere. It was unbelievable. I know Eric came down and dealt with it right away and talked to him. And we've gone down and said, hey, it's for your own benefit and your own safety. Anyway, so they still go flying through, but not like they did before it was reported.
It's definitely a give and take. What we are asking, all of us are asking kids to do, get outside, get off the screens, interact with your friends. They're doing that. But now it's kind of creating those guardrails and saying, yeah, we want you to do that, but we want you to do it safely. We want you to do it legally. And so to some, it's a huge inconvenience. To me, myself personally, our department, it's a good opportunity for us to interact and educate folks that are out riding.
Well, we certainly don't want one of them to interact with the front bumper of somebody's vehicle,
nope.
Right, either. So, Chief, thank you.
Thank you.
Council members, any other items this evening? Staff, anything else? The one thing I will mention is on our consent agenda, we did have a proclamation for Public Works Week. And I just want to pause briefly and recognize all of our public works staff for everything they do to, I think as most of them would tell you, right? Make sure everything runs really quietly and smoothly behind the scenes and that they don't get noticed. But we're going to notice them here for Public Works Week, at least for 1 week of the year, and recognize the work they do. So thanks, everybody. With that, I will move to our calendar of events. And our next regular city council meeting is not on this sheet, so bear with me while I find a calendar real quick. I believe we are May 28th at 7 p.m. Do we have a motion to approve the calendar of upcoming events?
So moved.
Second.
Motion from Councilmember Grendel, second from Councilmember Hebert. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? And do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Motion from Councilmember Hebert, second from Councilmember Grendel. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And we're adjourned. Thank you.